It means I'm not guilty. Anne Waiguru says after Public Accounts Committee recommends she be barred from public office.
We are in NASA to stay.
They stand united and very focused on what we're trying to achieve.
Is Kalonzo leaving NASA? Speculation persists as Kalonzo delivers surprise nomination papers. Self-declared Super Senator Sonko claims Jubilee is plotting to block his Nairobi bid.
The investigation has been done. The DPP has cleared me.
And Auditor General Edward Ouko fights back over petition to remove him from office.
Welcome to KTN Prime. Thank you for joining us. Our sign language interpreter at the bottom end of your screen is William Sila. Sila, thank you. Now, the powerful Public Accounts Committee of the Kenya National Assembly now wants former Devolution and Planning Cabinet Secretary Anne Waiguru barred from holding public office should she be found guilty over the NYS fraud. The Nicholas Gumbo-led committee has also recommended a lifestyle audit on Waiguru. But Waiguru, who is vying for the Kirinyaga gubernatorial seat, has defiantly insisted that the PAC's conclusion simply means that she is innocent. KTN's political affairs editor Ben Kitili begins this bulletin.
The former Devolution Cabinet Secretary, who is seeking to unseat Kirinyaga Governor Joseph Ndadi in the August general election, is back in the limelight. After weeks of consultations and lingering intrigues, the Public Accounts Committee of the National Assembly has finally adopted a report which seeks to bar Waiguru from holding public office if found guilty after due process. In a 185-page document, the PAC gives two reasons for recommending that Waiguru be barred from holding public office, including allegedly contravening Chapter 6 of the Constitution, more specifically Article 73, which provides that a state officer must bring honor to the nation and dignity to the office. The report also accuses Waiguru of failing to execute enhanced functions of a cabinet secretary as envisaged in a cabinet resolution following the 11th cabinet meeting held on December 2nd, 2014. The report, which was passed by a majority of the 29-member watchdog committee, also wants the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission to conduct a thorough lifestyle audit on Waiguru and other top officials of the Ministry of Devolution and Planning, as well as the National Youth Service, and criminal charges be preferred against those found culpable. And in a statement to KTN News, Waiguru has rubbished the report, saying that what the PAC report is saying is obvious and is what is required by law. The report has recommended the Directorate of Criminal Investigations carry out fresh investigations against Waiguru over abuse of office and the findings be made public and appropriate action taken if found culpable. The PAC report has also called for the prosecution of Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Murkomen over the NYS saga.
This is ridiculous. It actually shows the level of incompetence and ignorance and lack of knowledge in Parliament. It also shows it's either because there is a deliberate fading of ignorance or there is actually total incompetence in the committee. One would look at this chair and the vice chair, and on paper you would think that they went to school.
Murkomen, Deputy Majority Leader at the Senate and a close ally of Deputy President William Ruto, is to be investigated alongside his partners at Singoe Murkomen and Sigei Advocates.
They think that the privilege of being a member of Parliament, like myself, gives you the right to override the Constitution and run over all independent institutions. And so direct to the judiciary, direct to the Director of Public Prosecution, and convert Parliament to an institution that carries out investigations for purpose of charging any Kenyan.
The report is now with the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, for approval and tabling in the House. If passed by the plenary, it could prove to be Waiguru's ultimate Achilles heel to her political ambitions in Kirinyaga. The new electoral laws require that all aspirants be cleared by the AICC before vying for any political seat. But with the election less than 145 days away, could Waiguru be out of the woods? Ben Kitili, KTN News.
So let's focus on that conclusion by the PSC. Remember, we've mentioned that Waiguru insists that that conclusion simply means that she's innocent. So that story forms the basis of our big question tonight on KTN Prime. We're asking you, does the recommendation for fresh investigations on Waiguru mean she's innocent? That's by her. She says the conclusion by the PSC means that she's innocent. What do you think? Tweet us at KTN News, at KTN Kenya. Tweet me as well at Linda Gutu. Here's the thing, Noah Otieno is here with me as well. You can also tweet him at Noah Otieno because we'll be having a conversation about this with him right about now. So Noah is joining me in studio now. Noah, so what exactly does this all mean for Waiguru?
Linda, when it comes to parliamentary committees, like I said, in this case, the Public Accounts Committee of the National Assembly, the report may sound bigger than the impact it will create. Why do I say so? Because of the way the members of parliament will react to the report and the way they will behave when the report is finally debated. So for once, how powerful or how effective or how big the impact will be will depend on who is behind the report. Why do I say so? Why now? Why now? Because she has already declared she's running for governor's seat in Kirinyaga.
Yeah, because I was just about to ask you, does that have anything to do with the August 8th?
Why now? Is somebody out to ensure that she's not on the ticket? But that may not matter. Why? Because although the Public Accounts Committee reports take precedence over everything else except the presidential address, this debate may not be a Jubilee versus the opposition affair. Why? Because she has burned so many bridges during the probe. She has named so many people left, right, and center. She has accused everybody, some very powerful people in the Jubilee administration. And then when she was a darling of the Jubilee government, she was not a friend of most of the opposition MPs. So this report, if at all debated soon enough, may pass very easily. But it may be too late for this report to affect her candidature for governorship in Kirinyaga.
Yeah, because it's about, what, 145 days?
Yes, and those reports, the impact, the recommendations, they never move so fast. Let's look at what exactly that implies. After the National Assembly debates this report, if it is adopted the way it is without any changes, then it is sent to the committee, or the Committee on Implementation is asked to follow up on implementing the recommendations in the report. Remember, the recommendations are not exactly binding on the agencies like the DCI and the EACC. But if, for example, the MPs are very serious about this report, there is a Supreme Court ruling in Kenya that actually gave powers to Parliament to pass a resolution that could force those agencies to implement those recommendations.
Wow.
Because that ruling of the Supreme Court said that the agencies, although they are constitutional commissions like the DCI's office and the EACC, they are not supreme, they are not above Kenyans because Parliament is Kenyans, you know?
Yeah.
So Parliament can actually force an agency to implement a report, to investigate Waiguru in this case, but that may not be so fast. So why do I pour cold water on this particular report?
There must be precedence on what you're
Why
saying.
am I so skeptical?
Yeah.
Because there are so many reports in Parliament gathering dust on the shelves. The biggest report in the last 5 years in Kenya, of course, is the TJRC report on historical injustices, the Wagala massacre, the killing, the clashes in the Rift Valley, the land clashes, and so on. This report has never been debated. There's somebody who actually filed and tabled a petition to force debate on this.
Yeah, I heard
then
that.
it never happened. So I'm not so worried about that. I don't think Waiguru is worried either. The Hustlers Jet report was thrown out in 2015, a very big deal in Kenya. People claimed, the Deputy President's office used 100 million shillings to hire a jet just to travel to 4 countries to lobby Kenya. African countries support Kenya's push against the ICC. Then the MPs quarreled, they insulted each other, they fought in
eventually
Parliament.
it was thrown out.
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
Mumias.
The Mumia Sugar report. That report, before it was changed in Parliament, it recommended that the Nairobi governor, Dr. Evans Kidero, be barred from holding public office. Does that sound familiar? Exactly what we are seeing in the Parliamentary Accounts Committee report.
Guru.
They first of all changed that, said no way. Then adopted it. And
with the changes they wanted.
Have you ever heard anything about it? So, Linda, let's move on.
Waiguru actually says this essentially means she's innocent.
I don't think she's worried. I don't think she's worried. But, again, depends on who exactly wants to finish Waiguru. If it is somebody who has power over the National Assembly, this will move very, very quickly. And a lot of people...
Maybe we need to dig deep a little bit.
Yes,
no, Otieno, thank you. Always such a pleasure speaking to you.
Anytime.
All right, let's move on now. Remember that conversation that Noah has just had about what next for Waiguru is the basis of a big question on KTN Prime. We're asking you, does the recommendation for fresh investigations on Waiguru mean she's innocent? Let us know what you think. You can tweet us at KTN News, at KTN Kenya. Tweet me as well, at Linda Gutu. And of course, we have Noah in studio, so he'd be glad to be part of this conversation at Noah Otieno. So let's move on now. And Kenya's embattled Auditor General Edward Ouko maintains he will not leave office despite the petition filed against him at the National Assembly. He has also defended his decision to file a legal suit challenging the petition seeking his removal from office, saying the parliamentary process was unfair and borders on a witch hunt.
The Auditor General Edward Ouko says he is innocent and that allegations leveled against him for abuse of office and willful failure to comply with procurement laws are false and malicious.
The issue of stepping aside, the investigation has been done. The DPP has cleared me. So I don't know, stepping aside, this is a judicial process. It's not an investigation. I tend to get the feeling that
Lawyer Emmanuel Mwagambo wants Ouko removed from office after he personally authorized payment of 100.6 million shillings for the purchase of the audit vault software. The petitioner says that 6 million shillings of the money went to a company known as Western Africa UK, a firm associated with the Auditor General through one Mr. Ochieng Oduol. The auditor denies the claims and has filed a defamation case against Mwagambo.
I do not know Ochieng Oduol. I've not dealt with Ochieng Oduol as a person in any business contact. I do not know even this company, Western. And that's why I'm extremely hurt about this allegation.
On Tuesday, the High Court issued conservatory orders stopping the National Assembly's Departmental Committee on Finance, Trade and Planning from hearing the petition seeking Ouko's removal. Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, had promised to make a ruling on the matter Thursday, but deferred it to Tuesday next week.
If the National Assembly decides to ignore the court order, then it would proceed with the hearings, but everything it does will be null and void. Because at the end of it, the court then will declare that the process had been stopped and every effort, every money, every time will have been wasted.
Leader of Majority in the National Assembly, Aden Duale, on Tuesday castigated the judiciary for failing to respect the doctrine of separation of powers when it barred Parliament from hearing the petition to remove Ouko from office.
Parliament or the Parliamentary Committee is not making law. It is acting as a tribunal, an investigative tribunal. When it does that, it is inferior to the High Court, and the High Court can interfere with it at any time, which is why Parliament was able to overrule the Senate on the question of removal of Governor Wambora.
The Auditor General, dismissed as false, claims that the purchase and installation cost of the audit vault software should have been 18 million shillings. Ouko says the contract sum of 100.6 million shillings was paid after signing of the contract.
This system was to facilitate my office to be able to, in a real-time manner, see the transactions which are going through IFMIS. And as you know, IFMIS is where the platform which all the accounting for national as well as county accounts are done. And therefore, this would allow me to detect any malpractice within the national and county governments.
Patrick Amimo, KTN News.
Let's now look at Nairobi Jubilee politics, and Nairobi Senator Mike Sonko's political career now hangs in the balance after top Jubilee Party machinery crashed his team Nairobi-led political outfit. Nominated MP Johnson Sakaja has handed in his nomination papers as senatorial aspirant, leaving Sonko and former Starehe lawmaker Bishop Margaret Wanjiru in the cold. By close of business on Thursday, just a day before the final day of handing in nomination papers, Sonko was yet to be cleared after the party insisted that he hands in his original Form 4 certificate together with latest certificate of good conduct from the police. KTN News senior political reporter Duncan Haemba reports.
The flamboyant and ever-controversial Nairobi Senator Mike Mbuvi Sonko appears to be a man in dilemma if the latest turn of events in Nairobi County politics, ostensibly in the Jubilee camp, is anything to go by. For several months, the self-proclaimed super senator has been leading a gang of 4 politicians, calling themselves Team Nairobi, who have gone on record opposing Peter Kenneth's candidature on Jubilee ticket.
And I've made it absolutely clear that I'm running for the position of governor in Nairobi.
Immediately he declared his bid, political battle lines were drawn with the Sonko-led Nairobi team on one hand versus Team PK on the other, that characterized their public displays, particularly on Sundays. But the chickens seem to have come home to roost after the Jubilee top leadership dismantled his outfit. Kenneth handed in his nomination papers as Jubilee aspirant for Nairobi governorship on Wednesday, accompanied by a host of Nairobi members of parliament, surprisingly among them Mathare MP Stephen Kariuki, son to Bishop Margaret Wanjiru of Team Nairobi.
We want to go through the process so that we are one. Whichever candidate wins, we are one.
Congratulations.
And on Thursday, Johnson Sakaja, nominated member of parliament, also handed in his nomination papers, seeking to vie as a Nairobi senator, an indication of what could be at play.
I have been with my colleagues who have also wanted the same position. And we say that Jubilee is a democratic party where we will be able to get the best fit for this city. However, a time comes when leadership, and not just leadership, but exemplary leadership, must be sacrificial. Leadership must bring people together.
Already posters of Dagoretti South MP Dennis Waweru, another member of Sonko's team, have emerged, perhaps an indication that he could be seeking to defend his team, therefore leaving Sonko and Bishop Margaret Wanjiru's fate hanging in the balance as far as Team Nairobi is concerned. On Thursday afternoon, unconfirmed reports went round in social media that Sonko was alleging there was a plot to deny him Jubilee ticket and that police had denied him a certificate of good conduct, while Jubilee Party had requested him to present his original KCSE certificates, which are ordinarily genuine requirements. Friday is the final day for all aspirants in Jubilee Party to hand in their nomination papers, and it remains to be seen whether the seemingly besieged senator will get a lifeline. Duncan Haemba, KTN.
All right, the NASA top team has maintained that the opposition super alliance is not collapsing, even after Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka got a clearance certificate from his party to run for the presidency. Rita Tinina has more.
For a man who was in December last year endorsed by the top organ of his own party, Wiper, Kalonzo Musyoka was seeking clearance yet again. This time after the formation of the National Super Alliance, NASA. The move, perhaps a deliberate display of his claim on the NASA presidential ticket, amid claims that he's plotting his exit from NASA.
I know there have been bloggers out there saying that Wiper is going it alone. That is far from the truth. We are in NASA to stay.
We might disagree, but we are not enemies.
You might disagree with me internally in NASA. You might disagree with me externally out of NASA. But that doesn't make us enemies. It just simply means we have different and distinct visions of how to run this country.
Kalonzo's move, ironically, comes hot on the heels of an Infotrack opinion poll which suggested that Raila Odinga was the most preferred presidential candidate in NASA. Kalonzo was a distant second. The National Super Alliance is currently faced with the headache of picking its presidential flag bearer, with fears that the process and the outcome may lead to a split in the alliance.
And will weather the storms until the date of the elections. That will be proven in the course of time. And in politics, a week can be a long time. And in politics, a month, 2 months, a year can be a short time.
At the heart of the latest internal feud in NASA is a pact reportedly signed between Kalonzo Musyoka, ODM leader Raila Odinga, and Ford Kenya's Moses Wetangula in the year 2013. Under the alleged pact, Raila was to hand the baton to Kalonzo in 2017. Some Wiper leaders insist the pact should be actualized.
Mbele ya kamati, mjadala huyo haijaletwa mbele yetu.
Orengo is one of the co-chairs of the NASA Coordinating Committee, which says it is working on the preliminaries that will form the foundation of the negotiation process. In a show of unity, NASA core principals Kalonzo Musyoka, Moses Wetangula and Musalia Mudavadi will on Sunday hold what they term as a major rally in Kitengela as Raila concludes his visit to the US. With the burning ambition of the four core principles to be on the presidential ballot, NASA's unity will no doubt be tried and tested. Rita Tinina, KTN News.
Public Accounts Committee is recommending that former CS Anne Waiguru be barred from holding public office should she be found guilty over NYS fraud. On our big question tonight, we're asking you, does the recommendation for fresh investigations on Waiguru mean she's innocent? Does the recommendation mean she's innocent? We actually spoke to her and she says that exactly means that she is innocent. Let us know what you think. Tweet us at KTN News, at KTN Kenya. Tweet me as well at Linda Gutu. I'd love to pick your mind on this question.